My name is Iksan.
Sure.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for your time, and I think we are really in a good time today because the omnibus law just come out. So we would like also to understand from a perspective from today we have two ladies here. Miss Gita Shahrani. So I'd like to give the floor to Miss Gita Shahrani first. She's the executive director of District Collaborative Forum to Achieve Sustainable Development in Indonesia. I would like to give the floor because we just have a time limit to 16 to 20. So please to Ms. Gita for 8 minutes. Thank you.
Sure, Pak Iksan, if it's possible for me to share the screen.
Oh yeah, maybe
Yeah.
do we have somebody from Kadin here so you can share the screen for Ms. Gita?
Okay, so while we're waiting for the permission, thank you for inviting me to this important event and very timely, as Mas Iksan mentioned it. My name is Gita Shahrani, and I am the head of the Secretariat for Sustainable Districts Association. As it's named, it is an association for district government. It's made and managed by the district, and we are, as the Secretariat, we are mandated to support them as backbone team. Now, in terms of what we are right now focusing on, basically, our districts are divided into 3 main islands. So it's in Sumatra, Kalimantan, as well as in Sulawesi. And one of the things that are binding all of the districts are the passion and the vision towards sustainable economy. And the way that they're defining sustainable economy is basically looking at ability for districts all over Indonesia, especially LTKL members, to generate value-added, community-based, and nature-based solution so that it can become a vehicle for them to accelerate growth while at the same time preserving and protecting environment. Now, just to give you an illustration of where our districts are, we have two quite distinguished type of location that is in our membership right now. It's looking at commodities production center as well as forest or peat-rich center, both in Sumatra, Kalimantan, as well as in Sulawesi. In terms of the main commodities, it reflects coffee, cacao, rubber, palm oil, non-timber forest products, spices, and coconut. Now, when I spoke earlier about the target, there is specific target for our districts to protect and preserve both forest and peat, but at the same time, provide welfare to at least 1 million family in and around critical ecosystem area. Now, circular economy is fully aligned with our communature vision or our sustainable economy vision. And the reason why we think this is because we look at it from 3 different perspectives. As Mas Iksan mentioned, it's actually very in support of what the current omnibus law is going towards, in which districts or subnational government are responsible not only to look at development plan from governance perspective, but they also have to look at it from investment opportunity perspective and downstreaming perspective. In this slide, what is being conveyed is that it's a concept that was launched in February by the district members of LTKL that looks at ability to influence 4 main sectors, namely industry and technology, beauty and wellness, health, as well as for food and beverages. And for those 4 sectors, we believe that the sustainable circular economy is the way to go. Not only looking at the product value, but also looking at it from a rethinking packaging perspective, as well as integrating into lifestyle. Now, this can only happen, and I'm going to touch briefly about the pillars because this is strongly related to regulation. We're looking at 5 main pillars to support this sustainable economic vision. The first pillar being regulation. and policy. The second pillars being the governance itself through multi-stakeholders decision-making. The third pillar looks at the planning document, both spatial plan as well as development plan and budgeting plan. The fourth component is on monitoring, reporting, and joint communication. And the last component is actually the joint portfolio. So it's no longer becoming a government portfolio, it's actually becoming a joint portfolio with contribution from civil society, from the community themselves, as well as from the private sector. Now, in LTKL districts, it's very different from urban cities. Majority of the households in our district, for example, this is the district of Gorontalo and Musi Banyu Asin, are actually farmers, and household waste have become a priority aside from the industry. Now, because the income of the smallholders are also not sufficient to ensure welfare, we look at circular economy as also an alternative to provide economic opportunity for smallholders in our district. How are we doing it? The first one is actually looking at, so this is one example that are looking at industry. Musi Banyu Asin district in South Sumatra is actually recycling tires and making it asphalt. So it becomes a massive demand coming from a day-to-day sort of necessity all over Indonesia for infrastructure, yet it is actually using waste material and making it an as activated natural rubber powder technology driven value-added product. The second part is actually on the packaging. We have solutions from Musi Banyu Asin, SIAK, and other part of the subnational government or our district members rethink packaging. We have examples here looking at waste from palm oil to become plates and also serving dishes. And we also look at waste from pinang that also are going towards repositioning themselves as opposed to styrofoam, which is much more environmentally friendly as well as economically valuable. The last part is actually rethinking lifestyle. Now, this is an example, again, from South Sumatra that looks at the waste of gambir. And in order to actually integrate that waste component so that it doesn't becoming stuck in the small, medium scale enterprises, we look at rethinking how to integrate gambir or gambo component, not only to fashion, but also to other lifestyle like households and furniture and appliances. This is circular, it's using waste, it's improving livelihood, and it's focusing on sustainable product. Now, these are the three things that we are integrating into the circular economy household models that involves integrated farming, it involves waste to energy, and it involves generating sustainable product and packaging. But as I mentioned earlier, it doesn't stop there, and it shouldn't be done in a piecemeal manner. It should be involving planning document until the most detailed manner down to district strategic area level. It should integrate also the investment development plan component. It should involve a multi-stakeholders governance, for example, under the Center of Sustainable Agriculture in several of our districts. And it also should empower the farmers themselves through joint village companies, or in Indonesia, we call them BUMDes, to integrate modernized commodities and livestock industry, for example. This is something that we can push forward with your help coming from the investment and innovation and technology side to make this a reality, not only on paper, but actually implementable concept on the ground. Now, this is a concept that we are already proposing to different type of funders, including the Green Climate Fund and others. In a way, this is an opportunity that is up for grab. We're looking at methane capture from biogas. We're looking at the R&D perspective, and at the center of everything, we're looking at government becoming the gist or the glue that facilitates all this and enable permanence through policymaking. So that's it from me, Mas Iksan. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Mbak Gita. So Gita is really a hero for the district. So she did a lot for some districts under the LTKL, which is the District Collaborative Forum to Achieve Sustainable Development in Indonesia. After we hear from her, we skip the question. We put the question and answer later on. Let's go for another hero today. Is Miss Hannah. Miss Hannah is from the Waste for Change, and she is in charge for the head of communication engagement Waste for Change. The floor is.
Hello. Okay, so is my voice clear?
Yeah, very clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I will share the screen first. Okay, good afternoon and good morning, everybody. Thank you for the great opportunity given to Waste for Change so that I can give you the explanations about what Waste for Change have done during the COVID-19 in terms of the waste management itself. So this is the outline of my presentations. It covers the waste problems in general and during COVID. Also what Waste for Change have been doing during this time, also with the future opportunity. So yeah, I think this is already common, like this is the data that we have in terms of the Indonesian waste management situations. Most of the waste are wasted because like you see 69% are still end up in landfill, and it is because 81% of people in Indonesia still mix the waste, so the materials are wasted. There is no or lack of traceability of materials, and also usually the waste management are not professional and informal. And then there is a new waste of a kind of waste during COVID-19, which is the disposable mask, and also like many contagious waste such as like a tissue or straw, with the conditions of waste management where there are mixed and no traceability are very bad for the environment. So Waste for Change since 2014 have a clear vision to become a leader to providing the ethical and responsible waste management towards Zero Waste Indonesia, where this is our business unit. There are two main of business unit, which is the strategy services and operational services. And in general, and we transport it in a responsible waste collection. We transport it into the site, which called material recovery facility, and we sorted into more details and composted the materials. And also we do the waste journey report in the end. So this is just an example of waste segregations and the source. And the fifth materials is the one that we always make sure in this kind of situations that our clients always segregate the hazardous and medical waste. And this is some of the photos of our operationals for the composting. 40% are going into the open window technique, while there are 60% organic waste going into the black soldier flies. And then for the inorganic waste processing, we do the detailed sorting for plastic, paper, glass, and metals, where we also doing the packing, press, and also measuring. For the every operators or waste worker, we facilitated them with the protective gear and also the vocational training. And this is the example of our trackable and responsible waste management for the report. And for the COVID-19 updates, there are massive changes on our operationals, where we usually to online event for most consult, campaign, and educations, and also we allocate more into the rapid to swab test for the staff. And this is some regulations for COVID, so that we still have to keep the conditions of business and staff health. And how COVID-19 affects in terms of the waste, there is a reduce or decreasing of waste being managed. It is because mainly of our clients are in the business area. So it is Sometimes the area need to be closed and reduce their activities, but there is an increase of medical waste. And that's why we innovate to have a new product which called personal waste management, so that we came up to every household. So here the waste are decreasing in the business area, while in the household it's still the same. So we have these innovations towards the personal waste management, and where we also empower waste collectors, create new jobs, and also collaborate with Waste Bank. And this is the potential new business where before COVID hit Indonesia, we already have the letter of intent from Alfazorg to establish BSF, or Black Soldier Fly Organic Treatment. And it is on progress to fulfill requirement of 20 tons per day for the pilot project. Where we are finding financing and also the resources. And in a small scale, we already sell some of the BSF products. It comes from our site in Sidoarjo. And there is a new potential business during this COVID-19, it's called the waste credits, where we have already like 3 collaborations with Tetra Pak, Delta Hijau for Jelantah, or the used cooking oil, and also from the repurpose for the sachet plastic materials. So what we do is we have the kind of waste material credit, waste service credits, and also waste processing credit. Okay, so that's all from me. Thank you.
Yep, thank you very much, Hannah. So she did a lot, and Waste for Change is also part of the mission also that just signed the letter of intent with one of the member of Dutch waste management cluster, that I'm the liaison officer for this cluster. And this is also interesting as the follow-up of the King and Queen visit, royal visit in March. And as the follow-up of this visit also, on 9th of March 2020, there is MOU between the infrastructure and water management in Netherlands, signing the MOU with the Ministry of Environmental and Forestry in Indonesia. So the MOU is about the cooperations in the field of the waste management, circular economy, and water quality. So I think we are on a good line also to combine all the effort. Before I give the floor to the other audience, I would like to have some questions also. First to Gita, Ms. Gita. Since you are working a lot with the Bupati and also head of Wali Kota and so on, can you also give more insight? What are the challenges during the COVID-19 during when you do the business as usual? And what can be improved?
Thank you, Mas Iksan. So some are related to circular economy, others might not directly, but basically from the 9 district members that we have right now, there are 3 specific impact coming from the current pandemic that they're struggling with. The first one being a sudden increase of population, actually, because majority of the people that works in the cities, after they lost their job, they would go back and go to their hometown, but back to the district. So sometimes because of this also sudden mobilization of people, they can it's hard for them to also track people that goes in and goes out. Some have also resulted into an increase of the transmission itself. Now the other thing, the second impact that are quite related with the first one is actually an increase of risk towards deforestation, actually, because since they lost their job and they are looking for alternative livelihood, and sometimes the easiest way is just to, if you look at a bunch of trees, then you just chop it out somewhere, so that it becomes your instant income generation activities. Has been observed in some of the district areas, like in Aceh, for example, and this is something that we're also working with the district government as a secretariat, connecting them with different partners that are able to maybe look at other alternative livelihoods. So the concept that I was presenting on sustainable economy, some of the tangible activities that was done with our partners are involve, you know, connecting existing farmers with a communal kitchen where they can actually sell their produce and make sure that this is actually an income generation activities that they can do instead of chopping down trees, for example. Now, the third component is also highly related with something that might not be relatable for us that's living in the city area, which is not only that they're dealing with pandemic, as Iksan, they're also dealing with a lot of disaster risk right now. So during the beginning of the pandemic, it was also the beginning of dry season, in which for some areas, it's actually very prone for fire. And in some areas, we're also being faced with the crisis of flood and landslide because of the increasing uncertainty of the weather pattern itself. So because their budgetary system is now on lockdown, right? Everything have to be concentrated on dealing with COVID, while they're also battling with other risks like disaster. For them, it's also a bit tricky to make sure that they still pay attention to the prevention of this disaster, while at the same time keeping intact with the regulation that the national government is obliging them to. So they have to be a little bit creative. Example, looking at how they can overlay the COVID-19 transmission vulnerability with the disaster vulnerability, and focusing on pocket that has the most sink indicators as their priority area. So those are the three, Mas Iksan, in terms of risk. And also how sustainable economy, including the concept of circular economy, might be able to actually provide alternative livelihood for them that are losing their jobs and have to rely on their forest and land to survive.
Yep. Very informative. Thank you very much, Ms. Gita. So I would like to go to Ms. Hannah. Waste for Change, they do a lot also for waste sectors and a lot of challenge also during COVID. What do you think how to handle the waste challenge during the pandemic? That maybe you can also inform us more about what is the best strategy and so on. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think it's the same with Bu Sinta before already said that going to digital and also using more technology in terms of the waste management is very beneficial right now. So Waste for Change, like I already in the previous presentation said about waste credit. So what we do is we try to find organizations or brand or some FMCG's industry that will give credits or doing trading for their waste management solutions. So we do that using the digital or web platform where the people or the consumers for the product can send their waste into our site, and we want to replicate as many as possible locations that can accept the waste materials, so that we also empower the local organizations. So basically what we do is we get the funding from the for example the Tetra Pak, and then we say to the consumers of Tetra Pak that they can send their waste into our site, and then we give the reports to the Tetra Pak that we already manage the waste by this much, and all of the steps are done by using the web platform only. So no, it got less more connection or to reduce the transmission of COVID itself. Yeah, and also with the personal waste management, we do by using the web applications. Also, we want to go into more like ERP or maybe the Internet of Things. So we combine like startup tech, but in terms of the waste management itself.
Yep, thank you, Ms. Hannah. I would like to remind everybody here that I also would like to introduce you to Ibu Intan Hadidinata, who is from the embassy, the Senior Economic Policy Advisor at the Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. She put also email address here. If you have any questions, they can always contact us, and we can always cooperate with a strategic partner in Indonesia, including the Bupati district and so on, that probably part of the Gita works, and also with the waste management or private companies, because we just established a cluster of private companies in Netherlands that would like to enter Indonesia, giving solution for expertise, knowledge, and also the funding if the project ready, of course. And also, we also would like to do a lot of preparing the master plan for the local government. And before we close this, I also would like to introduce to Pak Mario Lau. Pak Mario Lau is also, we have a business support office in Surabaya. So you can always contact us in this email if you would like to talk with Pak Mario Lau. He will also always support you. And I think let's come to the end. But before I would like to close, I would like to have a closure statement from Gita first. Let's say, because we are talking about the waste management here and circular economy, imagine that you will be the Ministry of Environmental and Forestry soon. So what will you do?
I think the last slide that was presented sort of encapsulate everything, because we see circular economy is something that needs to be implemented in a holistic setting through jurisdictional approach. It shouldn't be treated as project per project, but it should actually use regulation that are already in place right now, in which subnational government can actually make a very detailed planning until specific area are designated into a circular economic zone, if you will. And by designating those areas, you can actually integrate the 5 components, right? You can first integrate the actual innovation and technology that enables circular economy. Second part is you can integrate the human resource development capacity, both in terms of technical as well as institutional setting, using the BUMDES, the village-owned companies, etc. The third component, you can integrate multi-stakeholders decision-making through different center of excellence in the jurisdiction itself. The fourth component, you can actually integrate planning document, both spatial as well as investment plan, and make specific portfolio for those investment. And the fifth, last but not least, of course, permanence, going back to how do you ensure that this area is protected by a good trickle-down regulatory framework from national, provincial, district, down until sub-district and even village level. So looking at it from a more holistic perspective, and looking at it also not as a government job, but as a multi-stakeholders initiative where government facilitates collaboration between private sector, civil society, and most importantly, the young professionals, such as the ones that are running Waste for Change. So shout out for all of the young entrepreneurs out there. You should be part of this future. Thanks, Mas Iksan.
Yeah, thank you. Just would like to also mention that Gita also received the award for youth professionals on environmental sustainability. So it's a good in line with your statement also. For Ms. Hannah, last closure statement from you. What will we do if you're the Minister of Environmental, and what will be the best to describe this in one sentence? What will be your aim?
Okay. Yeah, so agree with Mbak Gita. Waste management is one of the main focus when we talk about the circular economy. So the circular
Okay.
economy. So also, although I already say that the technology, hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Is my signal doing bad?
No, it's okay. Go ahead, Hannah. We can hear you.
Yeah. So it's not only about the technology itself. We see in Waste for Change is also about the collaborations and also the law enforcements. So we want to go side by side with government, business, and also the society, so that the waste management in Indonesia being a better in a better way in the futures.
Okay, thank you. Maybe we can come to the end. Thank you very much for your contact. I would like to remind you again that you can always contact us in the chat Zoom. There is Ibu Intan and also Mario Low already put email address and also the website. You can always contact. And thank you very much for your time.